All right. All right. All right. Welcome back to the Trading Triangle. I don't know why I went all right there, but I did. And
Happy to have
I'm I can't help myself sometimes. I am your host, Trader Nate. I'm here with SHAUN and Kay, as always. The Trading Triangle on Sundays, going through charts, looking at the markets, and preparing for the trading week ahead. Looking forward to it, you guys. How you doing today, SHAUN?
Yeah, good. I thought I was on a call with Matthew McConaughey then, but
Yeah.
turns out it's just Nate. But yeah, it's Mother's Day here in the UK, so happy Mother's Day to everyone in the UK.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, there's a resemblance, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Kay? How you doing?
Hey man, doing good. Always nice to be back on the channel here. So it's fun. It's gonna be some nice little trade ideas, a lot of reviews. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Yep, we'll get to all kinds of trade ideas. By the way, make sure you get your requests in. We'll have audience requests at the end, and I always appreciate those different ticker ideas that come through. And then real quick up front, the disclaimer, of course, we are not financial professionals. None of this should be taken as financial or tax advice. This is all entertainment and educational purposes, just three friends, trading every weekend. I appreciate you guys joining us, whether you're tuning in live on X, through my channel at Trader Nate here, or at Wolf Financial, or if you're live on YouTube with us at Trading Triangle, at the Trading Triangle. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button if you are there, get the word out so we can get more people joining us and reviewing charts every Sunday like we do. The time switch had us kind of scrambling this morning, but I think we're ready to go. You guys ready to get into some charts?
Let's do this.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right. So like we always do, is take a look at the performance recently. How did that go last week? I mean, for me, the kind of name that really stood out was actually Costco. It was down last week. I don't know. I thought after earnings it might, continue to power higher, but I was a little surprised to see a negative number there. And then despite the big sell-off with NVIDIA at the end of the week, it had a really green week. That was another thing that kind of caught my attention. Okay, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, AMD powering through $200 plus. Tesla again, they were close to the 200, and we thought that they can maintain that level, then back again. So I think pretty choppy market. I think what really stood out for me personally was ExxonMobil, because I've been in that trade for a while now. So finally, those shares got called out.
Yeah, energy making a move. How about you, SHAUN?
Yeah, for me, obviously the big one was Tesla, 12% down, especially after calling a possible upside last week. So I got that completely wrong. But Tesla, that candle on Monday, just, whoa, what a candle that was. So yeah, where do we get a bounce, or was it continued selling? But that's the only one I really kind of looked at this week.
I was looking for upside with Coupang last week, CPNG, and didn't get it. We'll look at that chart this week. So don't worry, SHAUN. We can't get them all. I mean, if we got them all, we would be wearing much nicer clothes.
Oh, we won't. This will be somewhere else. Maybe you'll still do it.
I would still do this, but it might be from a beach somewhere. I don't know. Anyways, not from this alley that I hang out in, right? So the fear and greed index up next. What do we got here? VIX creeping up higher while everything else kind of slipping. I like the small caps IWM holding above 205. That definitely got my attention. What about you, Kay? Anything jump off the chart as far as SPY, QQQ?
I feel much more comfortable than last week, honestly. When we have been in extreme greed for 3 weeks now. I think that little bit of percent and a half pullback on the S&P 500 I think it's a good sign. We needed some breather. I also see the put to call ratio has, we haven't talked about it for a while now, but last 4-5 weeks that I've been updating this, it has been between 0.71 to 0.75. It's been oscillating in that level. It really hasn't changed on a materially in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So we'll continue to track that. But yeah, I mean, this looks good. And look at Bitcoin powering almost 70,000,
Impressive stuff. How about you, SHAUN? Are you feeling good about these markets here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still quite frothy, isn't it? So just kind of playing. I mean, like Kay said, I was going to basically copy what he said. But yeah, feeling good about the market still, just about.
Yeah, it's hard not to, right? We got earnings coming up still, but this is one thing I was kind of surprised. I didn't really have anything on the earnings front that was too Adobe Thursday for sure. I've got a chart for Rigetti, which I'll talk about a little bit. But yeah, what about you, SHAUN? Anything in particular?
Yeah. I mean, for me, Adobe was the one that's the highlight for me, just to kind of see how the II platform's obviously taking off. Obviously, it's a paid platform now. But you do have a free version, but obviously paid platform gets you more benefits, of course. So I'm looking to see how that kind of takes off, because it is a really good platform. I use it for menu graphics, etc. So yeah, that's the only one I'm really looking at.
How about you, Kay?
So on Monday, I'm looking at Oracle and Asana, those two. And then on Wednesday, looking at AI, the UI path, which we are actually going to cover on today's channel. And then you guys talked about Adobe. So those are the only few names that are on my radar for this week.
It's funny. I was like staring at this, trying to find like, oh, there's got to be names I'm more interested in. Then I start, oh yeah, Lennar, yeah, and you know, Dollar General. Then I realized like every time I go and look at these, I'm not interested. So
Nick, if you remember, like 2 weeks back, we were on the space call, and we were, I think I forget the name of the guest that came on. They talked about Zim. And so Zim is also reporting earnings, which is the shipping logistic Israeli company.
Yeah, that's Wednesday before the open, right? Yep. Okay, that's a good one, Kay. I'll add that to my list. Nice. All right, well, let's get to some charts here for sure. Definitely want to, take a look at SPY, but we also have the Qs. So, or the Qs usually, I should say. And I wanted to look at SMH this week, so we have a chart for that. So first, though, SPY. I highlighted here, Sean, I would love to get your thoughts. I don't know if I'm like drawing correlations that maybe don't make sense, but these big arrows I've got on the downtrend that we had last fall, and you can see the average trading range. That's the what we've got at the bottom of the chart here. It's increasing, right? So as it increased, we continue to decline, which is kind of basically in line with volatility going up and all of that. But basically what I'm saying is the daily range started widening as that volatility increased and we moved lower. And I'm starting to see that pick up, that trading range pick up here. And so maybe it's a sign that we'll get a little bit of a rollover. And if we do, we've got this gap to fill, and the 50-day moving average is what I've highlighted here. But kind of like what we said, I mean, we're still above or just below the 5-day moving average. So it's still really strong overall.
Yeah, I like your point there. I think it's really interesting, especially as the average true range goes up now. Obviously, the value of this asset is actually higher. So really, it's actually moving a little bit more, at least in ratio terms. So it'd be interesting to see if that obviously continues going upwards. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's hard to kind of go against the trend at the moment. We get a red candle every now and then, and obviously it's followed by 2 or 3 green candles or white candles as you've displayed here. Yeah, just more of the same, I think. Just until we see a significant pullback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you there, Sean. I did post a couple short ideas for my newsletter subs this week because I thought, if there's going to be an idea that hits, it might be this week. But that being said, I'm still bullish. But Kay, what do you think about RSI hinging down there? I did highlight that as well.
So RSI is hinging down there, and on 315, your put to call is 3.18. And I know why. That's the reason, is because we have a quad witching day. So all options contract and all other contracts expire on 315. That's why you have so many put options open. I also believe that we have the Fed talking next week, or CPI numbers coming out. Let me check.
Yeah, CPI and PPI next week. I think that's right.
Yeah.
So that news plus the quad witching day, we could see some more pressure on the S&P 500 next week.
A little bit of volatility. I'm glad you brought up quad witching. I think that's worth paying attention to. So all of these options are expiring on March 15th, the weeklies, the quarterlies, and the monthlies. And then to the dailies, right? So you got a lot going on. SMH, right? I brought this into the mix because semiconductors continue to lead the way. I mean, just incredible performance this year, with NVIDIA obviously being the biggest name in the bunch. But SMH is an ETF that tracks semiconductors. NVIDIA is the largest holding, AMD's right behind it, and then a bunch of other names you'll recognize. This is a steep incline as far as what we've been on. But notice, so you get this big bearish engulfing candle on Friday. But it pulled back and is still holding that trend line, which is kind of crazy given that big day of selling off. But you can see it's just been gapping up repeatedly. The sector just continued to outperform and really lead everything higher. So I think we could see some support here right at this 224 level, and it just kind of maybe bounce and hold up here. But I mean, the 50 days a ways away. It's all the way down near 195. I don't want to see it get that far, of a retracement. Probably should have included the 20-day moving average in here, and it might have been a decent target. But yeah, I don't know, Sean, what do you think? I mean, it's looking pretty extended, and that was a pretty big pullback Friday.
It is, but it's also still above support. I mean, like you said, you've got 3 kind of points of confluence there. You've got the 5 moving average, the trend line, and the 224 line. It is a nasty candle on Friday, but it's still, like I said before, it's still above support. And you could actually, if you're holding SMH, you could actually add here just a little bit, probably not a huge amount. Obviously, it's not financial advice, it's just, a little bit of what I would do, how I perceive the charts. But also breaking that trend line, I think if you see a confirmed break, so say, for example, tomorrow it went down to kind of 220, then the following day was thereabouts. That for me is a confirmed break, and then we're heading easily down to kind of 230 at least, for the first level, maybe 207 as the highest more solid resistance point. But as long as we stay above this trend line, I'm not touching it. Like you said, it's overextended. It's not something I'm already in, so I don't really look at it, to be honest.
What do you think, Kay?
So while you guys are talking, I looked through all the triggers for the NVIDIA, AVGO, SMCI, and AMD. All of them had the same very bearish candle on Friday. But you also think about, from an NVIDIA standpoint, it hit its all-time high of 52 weeks, and then it pulled back $100. And then people are already talking about, hey, is this the turnaround? We'll see how that plays out, honestly, at this point in time. But I think the AI story is still intact. There hasn't really been any change. I think the discussion has started to change, that which plays are real AI plays. Is it NVIDIA, Broadcom, or is it SMCI, AMD? I think what you got to start now to look at is what part of the revenue actually comes from AI for these companies. So, the hype is great, but if you're going to invest in companies, you need to understand what percentage of the revenue it comes from AI and not from the other sources. Especially if you're going to do stock picking and not go with the SMH, which is the ETF for semiconductors.
Yeah, I think that I'm with both of you guys here. Sean, you mentioned the points of confluence here. I think a break below, right, would be a signal to get in. And yeah, I mean, until that happens, a break below in the second candle would be a signal to get in for a short trade. Sorry, I think these through, and then I say about half of what I'm thinking. And so that break below and that second candle would be the biggest thing for a move lower, right, if anything. But yeah, Kay, with all of these options expiring this week and seeing how that shakes out, I mean, the semiconductor space could get really interesting. You mentioned all those names with the same kind of candle, right? I think we got a big week ahead of us.
And you know what? That is the hope. Hopefully nothing major happens from a sell-off standpoint, but you never know.
Yeah. Sometimes. What's that, Sean?
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say sometimes, the most pain is inflicted by not making a big move either way when everybody's betting on a big move either way, right? And it just holds nice and flat and everybody doesn't get what they wanted, right? So the markets has been known to cause maximum pain. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's time to get into some more tickers here. Sean, I'm going to hand it over to you. And we have Neo up first. We haven't seen Neo in a while. Good stuff.
It's been a while, yeah. I just wanted to just add on to the last one. When is CPI? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
I thought it was
just
Tuesday.
So I know.
I'll look it up right now. But I thought
I want to bring it to the viewers so they know. Get ready for the volatility.
It's Tuesday. CPI is Tuesday.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right. So yeah, Neo. I haven't brought this one up for quite some time, and for good reason. You can see it's basically been trading flat / slightly negative, of course. Now, I've got to do a few talking points here, which I've got here. So obviously, earnings were Tuesday. I did cover it a little bit. So the positives, we've got vehicle margins are increasing, which is a good thing. Not by a huge amount, but it's a good sign at least. They've got plenty of cash, and they've got increased delivery guidance as well for Q1, which I think is pretty good considering the kind of situation with the Chinese economy / the new year, etc. And the deliveries are always quite low within the first quarter. So guiding that upwards, I think, is a good thing. On the other side of things, obviously, R&D spending was a lot higher again, which you kind of expect, but also don't expect, because obviously not really improving on the product at the moment. I'm guessing it's kind of battery swapping infrastructure, that kind of stuff. We've also got revenue falling slightly, and net loss was obviously higher as well. So burning through cash, but like I said, it's still got a lot of cash on hand. So there's a few little kind of points there for you to kind of work with. But looking at the chart, obviously we can see there's a couple of circles on the chart related to volume profile. So if we can get above this 20 moving average, which is the kind of blue line flowing through the chart, as you can see, you've got a lot of volume basically where we are now, which makes sense because it's kind of around earnings time on Tuesday where all that volume came in. Really nice bounce off of this trend line coming down as well. Just really, basically, the last 3 or 4 days have been really nice kind of recovery. It just needs that little extra push to get above the 20 moving average. And I basically got a point of $7.10 in mind. If you can obviously get through the nearby resistance, of course, with the trend line, the 630 line, and obviously that 50 moving average. So it's still a lot of work to do, but I like the price action in terms of how it started. So with that jumble of words I've just thrown at you, what do you think about this chart? Because I think it's looking good, but obviously it's still got a lot of work ahead of it.
Yeah, I like the shakeout there. Like that's a nice lower wick. Get all the weak hands out, so to speak, right? And then the quick recovery like that. I like that. That's a decent look. And then if we can, like kind of like what you mentioned, just show some additional progress. You were talking about deliveries in the forecast for the year. I thought that was interesting because I think for everything I'm hearing out of Tesla is the opposite, right? Like they're kind of struggling with demand decreasing, if I'm not mistaken. So I would love to see NIO kind of get a bit of a rebound running here. As far as the chart goes, yeah, it looks like we're right at that moving average, which has been proving to be a bit of resistance. So if we can get above that and then maybe get a retest, that should get to the point where we're getting to that downtrend line that you've got marked there. And it'll be basically the next test, right? So it'll be nice to kind of see these technical levels tested kind of repeatedly and see how the chart acts. Given all of that, though, it might create a bit of a channel here. Kay, do you see the sideways action maybe?
I do, and that actually aligns with the number of contracts. So the open interest at $5 level on both put and call are pretty much 27,000 and 26,000 respectively. So it's pretty even out. And then as you go above $5, the contracts, the open interest does decline, drastically. And then for the future weeks, also you see the similar trend that there's a lot more concentration at $5 level from an open interest standpoint.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, they have been known to guide and miss the guide, so don't take my word for it. Obviously, the guide is a guide for a reason, but judging by the registrations, etc., all adding up to be a fairly good quarter. And obviously, the new model, the new yearly models. That's the right thing to say. Basically, this year's model is now available, and it's seen pretty good interest already. So I anticipate good things for NIO personally, but I would because I'm a NIO bull, so I'm a bit biased, I suppose. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about them. It's been a while, so you have to allow me a few minutes to talk about
You got
them.
it. We got it.
You have all the time. Go for it.
I've been let loose. I'm dangerous.
Should we extend the call by a half hour today? We could do that.
I think so.
All right, let's keep it rolling. This is great, though. I'm looking forward to seeing NIO.
I think we do have a question. You want to check that question? Yeah, electric vehicle question. So
good stuff. Let's see. Let me jump over to that. So yeah, this is good stuff. Jesse asking if these are recorded and uploaded. Yeah, they are recorded on X, but then I'm also uploading them to my to a Trader's Education, which is my Substack newsletter. All the audio's there, but not the video. If you want the full thing, the full video, you can get all the replays on the Trading Triangle over on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button. I'll slip that in there as well. And yeah, you can go back and check all of our live streams as well. And then throughout the week, by the way, Kay and SHAUN do a great job of dropping additional clips in there and keep up with earnings quite a bit. And yeah, great channel. So I highly recommend you subscribing to the Trading Triangle. So I'll slip that in there again. And what else do we have? What's going on in the industry going electric? Oh, okay, interesting. So do we think that all of the industry is going to go electric? That is an interesting question. I have a lot of thoughts along the lines of automobiles and going full EV versus hybrid and all of that. SHAUN, do you have big thoughts on that, or is that a long conversation?
it's a long conversation, but I think that my main point is the infrastructure is obviously not there for the mass production of vehicles. It might be different in the US, but here in the UK, there's basically zero chargers, charging points, etc. So still a long way to go. But they say kind of by 2040, everything will be completely different. So I'm looking forward to that year.
Were you say something, Kay?
Yeah, so I in my personal opinion, I think infrastructure will take time to be built. But if you have ever been to China, you can notice why it's gaining popularity over there, because they have a very good charging infrastructure. Now in the US, we are nowhere near, unless you start seeing charging stations as often as a gas station. Then you will know that the trend is shifting. And now you also have Toyota, which is not completely going into electric. They are somewhere in the hybrid, throwing hydrogen in the mix. We don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Hydrogen.
You're a smart man, Kay. That's exactly the name I've been looking at for the hybrid mix is Toyota. They're leading the way, right? They just went all in hybrid, basically. I mean, that's not exactly true, but like that's the direction they went. I think that's very interesting. If the EV push is, needs kind of a stepping stone, that might be the way to go, right? So
yeah.
Another thing with NIO is that their infrastructure in China is absolutely insane. The amount of battery swapping stations they have, and other companies using that particular software as well. It's almost a bit like an infrastructure play for the future of energy from NIO's point of view, at least as well. So that's another thing to look out for the company.
Are they set up in a point like Tesla is, where they're able to like, hey, we'll strike a deal with Ford and so on? Are they doing the same thing in China with other companies?
Exactly right. Yeah, they've got 3 or 4 companies on board already, and obviously there's a few more in the works in terms of rumors, etc. So it's only got to keep growing, I think, in my opinion. We'll see.
Good stuff. Thanks for bringing NIO back around, Sean. Sorry, I feel like I jumped over on your segment here. Throw it back to you. What do we got next?
Okay. No worries. Next time, this one we obviously got RIVN. Now, this is a completely different outlook for me. This is actually kind of a bearish lookout for me. So again, I'm going to read off a few points from my little notepad here. So we had an event on Thursday. It was a really good event, really exciting. Obviously, the stock price, you can see, reacted nicely on that on the Thursday candle, as you can see on the screen there. They released the R2 vehicle, which was expected. That's what the event was for. But then they released an R3 and an R3X, just completely out of the blue, completely out of nowhere. And it looks okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the R3 over there, but you can say your thoughts in a second. But another positive is customer satisfaction is coming in really nicely. Nate, I know you like the RIVN, but we'll talk about that in a second. Potentially, your feelings might have changed with this model.
I like the pictures.
Good. On the negative side, though, we do have the deliveries expected in 2026, which is 2 years away. The first half, admittedly, and currently their cash holdings only go, with their current spending, only go for 2 years. But with that being said, obviously you do have the Q2 shutdown this year to improve efficiency, to improve that cash balance. And obviously, make money on the bottom line. So there's good things coming, but I think the next 6 to 9 months will still be sticky. It'll still be flat. I think it'll probably trend a little bit downwards just until we get that kind of promising outlook, I would say, forward-looking statements and that kind of stuff around kind of RIVN. So that's it really. That's kind of my points on RIVN, positive and negative. Chart, I'm not going to dive into too much. We've got a bit of a zone here. Obviously 1330, 1380 goes way back as resistance. Okay. That's the kind of shaded area you can see here. We're rejecting off of that and the 20-moving average. I expect to come back down to 1150, I would say fairly shortly, perhaps probably this week, even with the CPI. So that's it. That's what I'm going to say in terms of the chart. Nate, what are your thoughts on this RIVN model R3, the bottom 2 pictures?
So I like the other one better.
Yeah, I thought you might, yeah. I knew it.
But I think it's great that they're coming out with additional models. And I love these pictures that you brought them in with the chart, because I've been looking at that top picture thinking, yeah, I got to get one of those eventually. So I hope RIVN does well, right?
And also, it's only £45,000, which for an EV of this standard, it's actually cheap. I mean, it's a base model, of course. You can add on for thousands and thousands. Sure. So I think it's actually really cheap. And I saw that come through on the live stream. I was like, wow, can they afford that? So that'll be another talking point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the more they get, momentum behind them, the better, and the more they can get as far as orders, obviously, is the big deal.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is one that I can't trade because I think I'm too in love with the car and I am too optimistic, and so I'll let my emotions take over. So I will just strictly read the chart here and say, man, I have to agree with you. You've got resistance, you got the 20 moving average. If we get a break above, that would be massively positive. But
yeah.
what's the catalyst for that right now? I'm not sure what that is really, especially with markets looking a little bit heavy right now. I think that you're probably right that we get a little bit of a retest here back to 1150. Good volume there. So that's what I'd be looking for as well.
Awesome.
And just to add to your on 315, the put to call is 0.54. So there's a lot of call options, 300,000 plus call options expiring on 315 versus only 165,000 put options. So
Man, this week is going to have some crazy volatility, I think, with all these options.
I don't know. I might just sit out and let it. It's worse than your earnings season, you know.
Yeah.
I'm diving headfirst into this week.
Yeah. All right, Sean.
Yeah.
Where will we find
Awesome.
you doing that, Sean?
And so with that statement, actually diving headfirst, I'm going live tomorrow night as I normally do on Monday night. So I'm going live a little bit earlier just because I've got a few things I'm doing in the evening. And I'm going to be basically banging out loads of trade ideas because I've been looking at the charts over the weekend. I'm getting really excited with some of the opportunities that are arising in the market. So yeah, obviously head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe over there, and I've also got 2 more contacts there with X and Substack as well. But YouTube is probably the main priority for me this week. Hand over to you, Nate.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. And I've got one chart from last week and a new one that we have not looked at all in the past. So we'll get going with Coupang first, CPNG. I was talking about it last week because I thought maybe we'd make an attempt to get back to 20, right? The recent highs. And that did not happen. It rolled over, right? We got a nice curl here right at the 1905 resistance level, which, has been resistance in the past. I've been paying attention here because we broke above that highs anchored VWAP. That's what that brighter line is there, and you see all the resistance touch points I highlighted. After breaking above that, I feel like we're in bullish mode, moving for more upside, but we need to get above 20 to really see things continue and not just move sideways or pull back, obviously. And so the curl over last week wasn't great to see. Kind of looking for it to now come back and test that 1768 level and see if it holds. And that might be a good place to buy if it does hold for a longer term or, get in on some trading action. Also might be a good spot because the premiums with Coupang are usually pretty juicy. Okay. This is one I'd be selling cash secured puts on potentially, right? So yeah, that's the kind of my thoughts here, but I just wanted to revisit it because I was looking for that push above 19 and the power higher, and we just didn't get it, right? And there's no closes above 19, so there's no reason to enter the trade. It was something to watch, wait for that. And Sean, you mentioned earlier, I'm going to highlight it. 2 candles, right? First candle above, a second candle to confirm it. I'm talking daily candles. Then I would have been in for the long trade. But yep, this one's rolling over. Hopefully we get a little bit of support. Anything that I didn't catch on the chart, Sean, that you would add?
Just the RSI. I didn't think you mentioned it, but yeah, it's just curling over. Obviously you've got the yellow arrow down there, which just kind of gives you a little bit extra kind of idea of the momentum of the stock in the nearby term future. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, I like this one for a short, to be honest. I mean, big red candle followed by a topping tail. Obviously it came all the way up to kind of 18.50, got pushed right down to $18-ish. So then the sellers are there for this one. Obviously, like you said, with the kind of toppy market as well, could potentially go either way. So this is on my short watch list.
Good. And also you can see the put to call is 1.43. So you have about 25,000 put options versus 17,000 call options for next week.
There you go. See, and I think I have a bit of a bias here because now that you're calling that out, Sean, it's an obvious short trade to me. This is a very obvious short. And I'm sitting here looking for a pullback and a bounce. But I think that until you get that, the trade is the downside. It seems like a really clean setup that I basically wasn't even looking for. So good stuff here.
And your $19 has been a resistance for a while, going back to September, right? It was not able to break it since we had that decline. And with this massive gap up, we still couldn't break that. So if you continue seeing downtrend, you might have the same pattern playing out until we see the next leg up.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll be looking at that for a potential short. And like I said as well, if you already own 100 shares of this, you might be wanting to sell some covered calls as well against it, because you can get some nice premiums, and this does look to be going lower in the near term. All right, another one that came to my radar, and this is not something you guys see me pull forward, like anything like this. This is below $5 a share, right? I like rarely look at stocks that are below $5 a share. But this came up because it is a top holding in an ETF I was actually kind of introduced to, or kind of made aware of, which is the Defiance Quantum ETF. Not trying to plug Defiance or the ETF. It's QTUM, but it's tech, it's tech around quantum. I want to say this right. Let's see here. I want to get this exactly right for you guys, right? Companies operating across quantum computing and using products and services in that space, right? So this is their second largest holding, which is kind of crazy, or at least the last reporting. So at this kind of a share price, it got my attention. And then I looked at the chart, and that got my attention, right? I mean, this is pretty interesting looking chart. We had the big sell-off, formed a long base here last year, and then started picking up just in February. Really is kind of like a late start. Everything else really got rolling in November last year, and this didn't really start moving till February. But it's been holding the 20-day moving average, making higher highs and higher lows. And I'm looking for it to break above this 209, 210 level and retest and continue higher. And that would really break out of this kind of basing pattern and I think start a run. So really interesting setup. What do you think about this one, Sean?
I really like it. I've written it down almost straight away just because of your kind of your futuristic line that you've drawn there. I like that setup, as you know. And one thing I do have a little bit of a warning on is the kind of volume increase on Friday. Obviously, having the action go up and pull back in the same day is not great. But if the momentum obviously keeps going up and trending up, basically getting above that 209 level and staying above that is the key in the near term. 210 is my level for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned the ticker because I went to the ETF, but this is RGTI, Rigetti. RGTI. It's right now trading at, what was it, just below 2 is 198, I think it is. And so it's below $2 a share currently. But yeah, the topping tail, as you mentioned, is definitely shows like it tried to break and it met with a bunch of selling. It's probably a lot of those sellers from, you can see on the left side of the chart, that are now finally getting back to break even and just like, get me out, right?
Yeah.
We've been holding for so long. But yeah, what do you think, Kay? Is this one interesting to you?
It's interesting because the IV is crazy. It's a monthly options. So the IV for 315 is 250%.
Whoa.
For 419 is 164%, and then 150, 120, so on. But the IV is over 100% on this one. There is definitely not much of contracts open interest, like 7,000, 5,000. So it may take a while for you to get your order fulfilled. But I'll give you this. It's at let's say April. The bid. This is not a good options trade, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
For $1.05, the bid is $0 and the ask is $20. So
there's no liquidity.
There's no liquidity, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to play this, I would say, I guess going the traditional route of buying the stock, selling the stock.
Yeah, trade the common shares. And I think that's what I'm looking at here is the upside trade. If we get a pullback to 180 and get in, and if we get a bounce there, basically buying between 180 and 2, if we get a nice, bounce there and it's holding above, I would probably start accumulating and looking for that break above. And if it breaks down below 180, maybe get out of the position, give yourself a little bit of leeway with a stop. But Sean, it sounds like you're in agreement there.
I'm loving this. I really am. Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing this one up.
I'm telling you, I was just in this conversation on Spaces with Wolf, and Quantum brought, Defiance brought up their Quantum ETF, and this one we started discussing, and there's no way I could get away from it. It hit my watch list immediately too. So glad you guys like it. All right. So you will find me at Trader Nate here on X, and that's where I'm live streaming right now. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to repost that and get the word out. And then I also write for Wolf Financial on Sundays. You'll see my posts for his newsletter. So be sure to check out that newsletter, as well as my own, A Trader's Education. I do repost all the audio from these Sunday chart reviews and market analysis that we do, as well as daily posts throughout the week. And for upgraded subscribers, I get 2 to 4 trade ideas out, options trades, entry, exit points, all the good stuff. So that's where you can find me. Drop me a note if you have any questions, and I will hand this over to Kay next. Kay, what do we got?
Awesome. So the first one that we have is UiPath. We talked about this, I would say maybe 5 sessions ago. They are reporting earnings this week. I believe that was Wednesday after close. So just to give a SaaS company, I like software as services is generally as an industry, because they are actually a very profitable industry considering it's a software, right? So anyway, so like all software companies, they have not missed any EPS top line or bottom line predictions. They have always beaten it. So that's something to keep in mind. I think what we have seen recently in all the pullbacks that like Palo Alto had it, or a couple other SaaS companies had it, was because of the future guidance being weak. Anyways, so the average price target on UiPath is about $25, and currently you are sitting at $23.66. So you got to keep that in consideration. And the implied move is about $3-4, I would say. So about 14%, still a pretty decent implied move on this company. This is very big on the AI aspect. Even before AI became mainstream, this company generally does automation. So this is basically replacing white collar jobs. So all the mundane jobs that you have at these enterprise companies, where people just do mundane jobs like sending emails, processing data, all that can be automated by robots. And with artificial intelligence coming into the picture, it just helps this company improve their services even much in leaps and bounds, I would say. So anyway, so put to call ratio currently for the trading is about 0.56, so very, very bullish. If you see this, I said the gap was never filled. So last earnings we had this massive gap up, and that's where most of the trading happened, but this gap was never filled. Now I do think that if the guidance comes poor, we may actually see a decline, because I don't see how the stock can actually break that all-time high of 20, not all-time high, but the most recent all-time high of 27.87, because even with a 15% implied move, you're looking at right around that corner of $27. So that could be the massive upside, but then we can also see a pullback. And if there's a poor guidance, you will probably see the stock trending downwards and trying to fill that gap. So I'm not trading this right now. I want to see how they report the earnings and the future guidance. And then based on it, if it pulls back, that's when I'll get interested. My level is about $19, $20. That's when I want to add. So this is on my watch list.
Nice. This is interesting. This one always it gets brought up, and I'm just not familiar enough with it. But I like this chart a lot, Kay. I mean, your buy level is interesting, right? Trying to fill that gap and get in there. I like that spot as well, and I think that it looks constructive. I mean, we've had a higher high made. Looks like it's holding a higher low. Even if we did get a pullback to fill the gap and got a quick bounce, be targeting trying to make another higher high there, right? So you would also be able to set maybe a level for a stop loss that would make some sense there and not risk too much more, right? But overall, yeah, it's starting to look constructive, after that gap up. And yeah, this is going to be something I'll be watching.
Is this one of those Cathy Wood stocks? She likes this.
Actually, Cathy Wood does have this stock in her.
Okay.
It's not because from Cathy Woods. I actually have used this software. That's why in my previous company we were doing automation. So we had this vendor. We had a couple of the vendors who were doing this work, and this is I'm talking about from 2015 time. It's been about 9 years, and this company probably has become even better at their services.
That's good. I think having a name like Cathy Wood involved in some sort of way, I think helps the company as well, because well, it just makes sense to me, I think. But the chart looks good. I like it. It's a little bit of a head and shoulders, but not quite. If you've got like 3 or 4 shoulders, maybe. But
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not formed yet, but it's good.
Yeah, so I like it. I've added it to my watch list. I'm not too sure if I'll trade it. If I see a nice setup, I will. But I like that 19 level that you mentioned. That's a really good spot for me as well.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have not talked about SOFI,
Ooh.
Yeah, this was our staple stock for a long, long, long time. The reason we were not talking because the stock was running up, and then most recently, what happened is that they decided to have a $750 million in, I think, the notes. So they're basically taking on additional debt, and that's why we had this massive gap down that you see.
Interesting.
What, 4 days ago? I think it was what, Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those days that the news came out.
Yeah.
As soon as the stock fell below, it's all SMAs. It just popped up on my radar again. I'm like, you know what? I'm interested back again. So here's a trade idea that I am considering. I haven't really finalized, but a $7 put for May 17, and that's about 38 put to call. So let me also tell you exactly how much you will get on the premium. This is
So
what
you're talking about selling a cash secured put at
selling
the
a cash
$7?
security. Exactly. So for a $7, you'll get about 60 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're getting like 8% or something like that? What is that?
For about what, 68 days to expiration? That's not
That's
bad.
nice. That's not bad at all.
And anytime the stock falls around the $7 mark is when I really get interested.
Yeah, it looks like it held support there at 732 pretty nicely, actually. Right around that 730 level, the 78.6% fib. And yeah, so that, I mean, it bounced there twice and then started moving back higher after the big sell-off on Tuesday. So that'd be a definite level of support that I think, like you said, selling the $7 cash secured put is a pretty decent spot because of that support level.
That's the plan. Sean, what do you think? How does it look to you?
I think for me, I mean, obviously you see the buyers coming in at 732, like you said, Nate. But for me, if I see 732 break, maybe down to kind of 690-ish, come back up to that kind of 732 level, that's kind of maybe where I'd enter a short as well. I mean, depending, obviously, market depending as well. So a little bit of a contrarian view. I like SOFI as a company. Obviously, they're growing, they're doing great, profitable, which is nice, or gap profitable at least. But you can see where the buyer dippers are coming in, that's for sure. But if it breaks, then the harder the support, the harder the fall. Whatever you say it.
True story. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's how they say it.
I'll say it. You know what I mean.
That's right. Hey, Kay, real quick while we've got the chart still up, we had a question out there. By the way, what's up, Wolf News? See him out there. And I saw a question out there about the put to call ratio. We talk about that often. Would you mind addressing that a little bit?
Yeah. So put to call ratio specifically means, right, call is bullish, put is bearish. That's just the very standard definition. So if you have more puts open against a stock, which means that you're a little bit more bearish, whereas when you're looking at calls, you're looking at more bullish. So put to call is generally a very industry term that is used, and even they take into account into the fear and greed index. So that's one of the metrics they use, that how many put options are open versus call options are open, in order to come up with a number like a fear and greed. So if you're looking at trading options, looking at the put to call ratio does help you give an understanding and how's the sentiment on the stock. Is the industry opening more puts? Is the industry opening more calls? Kind of gives you the sentiment, and it does help you to predict the movement of the stock as well. Now, it doesn't mean that it will work all the time. I'll give you an example. So stocks like SOFI, stocks like RIVN, Neo, Tesla, generally are retail favorites. So any stock that is retail favorite, you will see an amount of call options open versus put options open. So that can give you a wrong sentiment on the stock. Whereas if you know that most of the movement in the stock happens because of institutional buy and sell and not retail buy and sell. So that can actually misguide you. But this is a metric that you can take into account when you are trading options.
And when you're looking at it, right, you're looking at it more from a trend standpoint than like a certain level, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure over time there's, put to call ratio of X level for SPY is kind of, average or whatever. But Because the question, and Vivek, thanks for your questions. These are great. We're looking at, is that level put to call ratio increasing or decreasing? And, what does that mean? And basically, if you're, like you said, if your puts are increasing, then you see, more risk.
Yeah. So take into example like quad witching day, where all options are expiring. Automatically, you will see a lot more put options expiring on those because all options are expiring. So generally, what happens? It doesn't mean that the market will sell off. It just means that there will be a lot of transactions happening on that day. There'll be a lot more volatility. The implied volatility will be up. So you might be able to squeeze in more premiums, but it's also a little bit more risky. So that's how I take into account the put to call into the trading aspect.
Nice. We got another question about SOFI real quick. Looking like a short to you here? They'd have to break that support line, right, Sean?
Yeah. You have to break that 732, and actually right below 732 is also a decent chunk of buying that comes in. So those are a couple levels that you'll have to see to break.
Yeah,
it's definitely possible though.
Yeah, I think that I would need to see more, and I would actually like to short it at a rejection if it got back to 9, and then that's where you want to short it. Look at that resistance, right? If it rejected again, but yeah, I think it's a little tough here for that. By the way, everybody out there sending in questions and comments, we see you. Appreciate you tuning in, Sebastian and Calvin, Sabrina, everybody else out there. Keep them coming. Send in your ticker requests. We'll get some to them at the end. I'm taking notes here, you guys, so we don't miss anything. Anything else to add here on SOFI, K?
No, I think we are good. We can wrap this up so we can take the audience requests.
Where do we find K?
You can find me on X. I post about the earnings and a lot of good stuff on X. My main channel on YouTube, definitely follow over there. This video will also be there as well. Along with that, I do a lot of stock analysis that if you need requests, feel free to drop a comment on my YouTube channel. I'll take care of that. There's a lot of going to be ETF reviews coming up in the coming weeks or so. And I did a AI stock analysis, which there will be 22, 26 stocks that you can take into account for you to, if you're interested in AI. So it's not just your typical semiconductors. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about enterprise companies that are taking advantage of AI within their product. So definitely check that video out. And I do write on Substack as well, just like Nate and Sean.
I did like the way you broke down that video. It made it really easy for me to kind of write down the tickers. And I always like a good ticker.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Absolutely, you guys. This is great. And we've got over 2,000 people tuned in, watching live. So appreciate all of you out there. Be sure to subscribe to the Trading Triangle on YouTube. Make sure you're following Wolf Financial and all three of us here, if you aren't already, we'll be posting all week, just like we've been mentioning. And every Sunday we're here, right, at 2 p.m. Eastern, dropping all of this great knowledge and sharing what we see and what our thoughts are on the trading week. So with that, let me jump over to the lovely trend spider charts and start taking a look at some things. So by the way, I think we dropped, Sean, do we drop the link for Trend Spider down in the, I think we do in the description. If not, we'll make sure we get it added, right? But we got an affiliate link. I think we do, right?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, full disclosure, affiliate link, but I really love Trend Spider. I mean, the charting is super simplified and everything about it. You can add in Anchor VWAP, which is something I've really started using. Let me know if you have any questions, honestly. This is RGTI Rigetti, this I was talking about earlier. And just a quick note, this is earnings, right? So I've got that mentioned on Thursday. I don't know if I highlighted that or not. So that'll be something worth watching as well. All right, guys. The first ticker I had noted was Blink.
Blink. Yeah, it's been a while since we looked at any charging company.
Yeah.
They've got earnings on Thursday as well, I think.
Very nice. And it looks like they're trying to do a little something here, right? A little bit of a retest of support a couple times here and now moving higher, making higher highs and higher lows. I like that look. Let's see here.
I'd be interested to see the overall trend line from a larger time frame, from a weekly, for example, because obviously you got that kind of downward movement. It'd be interesting to kind of join all the tops, see where we are.
Yeah, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly really quick.
While you're doing that, I also see that in the last 3 days, they had a nice little bounce over the 20-day moving average. And the RSI is nicely at 55, so we have enough room to run. Let's see.
So this is a weekly, Sean, and it does look like, you might be able to draw a couple of different trend lines here.
Even that price action trying to break through the 20 is not bad.
Yeah, exactly right. It's this is the 20 weekly, and it is trying to get above and kind of break above there, right? So
yeah,
that is nice to see.
What's the move to the 50? That's what, 3 something.
50 is 2.8.
Yeah, and that'd be up at 461. So and that'd be right where these prior upper wicks kind of got to, right, for the 50-week moving. And that would be a solid double from here. Do I have that read right? No, not quite. It would be a good 50% move, though, it looks like.
It is 41%.
Nice. All right, good
Not bad.
stuff. Let's keep it rolling. I had SOXS. So I'm familiar with SOX being the semiconductor. Does that mean making that, or
I think so, yeah.
is it? Interesting.
Maybe. I don't know how.
Maybe Transpider added some cool audio that I'm not familiar with. All right, so let's get back to the daily, though, real quick here. And this is the directional SOX 3X. So this is a leveraged ETF on the semiconductor. I knew I recognized it. Good old day trading here. So if you are looking to, quick in and out these directionals, especially, if you're getting in and out quickly and we have big moves like we've had in the semiconductors, you can have some pretty big gains in these shares without, you can look at options too, but these shares, because they're leveraged, are going to move. And this is the bearish. So this is the inverse, hence the reason it's been dropping. And you got this big spike on Friday. So effectively, the question is, are you bearish enough right now in semiconductors to get into a leveraged bearish semiconductors ETF? Thoughts?
No.
I wouldn't short internet at this point in time. You need some more data points to say whether the trend has changed. Just by selling of one day, it's not enough to say that the trend has changed.
I think with leveraged shares as well, you need more than one indicator to kind of go in your favor. So you need confluence, at least in my opinion, from a daily time frame. You want to have that extra kind of, I would say, security, but it's not really security, but it's kind of, I kind of said it, confidence, basically.
Yeah, you need more of that. And I like to refer to this as the hero's trade right here, right? You want to look super awesome, super smart. And believe me, this is super tempting right here. You get in here, and then 6 months, if we've made, this move, right, that just goes straight from here, just basically like this, you look like a genius, and it's great. But unfortunately, what actually usually happens is something like this, and then you feel kind of silly, right? And what I would say is wait until we get more of a move, back above this 20, maybe a retest, maybe back above the 50 and a retest. At this point, right in there, I would start feeling really a lot better, if that makes sense, right? Like kind of jumping in right at this point. That makes sense to me. We would be above the 50. We would have established a higher high here. You have this big volume shelf, coming in. I mean, it's a ways away. I get it, from where we're at now, and you'd miss a lot of upside. But it's just too risky here, right?
Yeah.
One thing that people would be looking at to get this on their watch list is that volume bar on Friday. It's massive.
That's
because of NVIDIA sell-off, right? That's because of the NVIDIA sell-off.
Yeah.
Okay. One last thing. The opposite to this is SOXL, the long version.
Right.
Just in case you wanted to know.
People have been making a lot of money on SOXL. What's really interesting is if you go look at these leverage ETFs in the semiconductor space and the assets under management, they're hitting $1 billion. It's pretty insane, given that they're just directional trading ETFs. So it's quite
even zero DTE on NVIDIA's and the semiconductor has been a staple play for a while now.
Yeah,
folks.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it going. We got EA was another one that was requested. I haven't looked at Electronic Arts. Are either of you overly familiar with EA?
Yeah, there's a funny story about EA. So when I graduated back, long time back, from my master's, I actually I got an offer from EA Sports for an internship. I didn't take it. That's a different thing. But yeah, so that's how I know EA Sports, and all those games, pretty popular games, are from EA Sports.
Oh man, if I would have got an internship in my early 20s to EA, I would have turned everything else down. I loved EA Sports back in the day. Sorry, go ahead. What do you think, Sean? You like this one?
I've never really traded it, to be honest. I've never been on my watch list, but it looks like more downside ahead. You can see where the volume profile, we're kind of breaking it,
Yep.
probably heading down to the next kind of volume bars around 131-ish, probably. But yeah, I mean, I remember playing FIFA a lot, and that's kind of the only reason I know EA.
Yeah, that's
I would do
my
the
jam.
intro voice, but I don't think I'll pull it off very well.
FIFA is my jam. I'm with you on that one. I can never really put it all together on the pitch, but I could do all right with a joystick in my hand, So yeah, I think that 131.50 right here kind of aligns with what you just said, Sean, and coming back towards this volume shelf and trend line. That seems more likely than returning to 145 for the recent highs. So, or to make a new high. So that volume shelf right at 137, 138 looks like it'll be tough to get over with your 50-day moving average right there. That's what I'm seeing. Kay, would you add anything else here? Or I think we
No, that's nothing much. The IV is not that much. So from a premium standpoint, there isn't much going on, but they do have decent call open interest, like 11,500 call options on for next week. But then there isn't much, other liquidities like 727, 2,000 options. So it doesn't seem like a lot of people trade options with EA Sports.
what I would add here is I'm not a huge fan of shorting this, even though it doesn't look like a great long here.
Yeah.
And yeah, right, because it's in an uptrend, it's made higher highs and kind of holding these lows here. So not a great short either. Maybe if it rejects at the 50 again, which would be a few dollars higher, that might be an interesting spot to short. But you still have this trend line in place, so it would be a pretty quick trade, I think.
Did you know that this company pays dividends? I did not know that.
No, interesting.
Oh, wow.
All right. That is surprising. All right.
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in stocks with in kind of no man's land and kind of forcing a trade. If you go back to EA,
Yeah.
it's in no man's land at the moment. So don't force a trade in this kind of situation.
Good call.
Like you said, you either wait for a retest of the 50 moving average for a short trade, or me personally, I'd probably wait for a 131-ish if you come back down to that trend line for sure. And that way you can keep a nice tight stop loss and obviously limit your risk. And that's what you want to do at the end of the day. You want to keep your money, not lose your money.
Well
Sorry,
said.
I just want to add it.
No, well said. I like it, man. And I tell you what, there's anytime I enter a trade too early, like in no man's land, as you referred to it, I immediately know it because I immediately look like at my stop loss and think, why is this here? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I just have a random stop loss just floating out there, and it doesn't make sense, right? So,
We've all been there.
Yeah, everybody's been there. All right, so TeleDoc was another one that we were asked about, TDOC. And this is another one that was a darling, right, and has suffered quite a bit in the last couple of years, selling off. Had a big gap down on its most recent earnings. But it looks like it's trying to find a bottom, although it did make lower lows, right, from October. So not great. Most everything is making new highs since October, and this one's in lower low territory. So yeah, what do you think about this, Sean?
Can you draw a line at that double bottom that's happened kind of October, November, like all the way across to obviously where we are now?
Right to here.
It looks like a couple of a little bit higher, I think maybe. Just
this guy up here. Yep.
Yeah, that one there. So I think you can kind of see a double bottom there, and possibly a little kind of double top happening now. So I see further downside, personally.
Yeah. Some resistance plus the upper wick there. Yeah. What do you think, Kay? Are you ever get in on TeleDoc?
Actually, I do have a position in TeleDoc from a long-term standpoint. I don't trade TeleDoc. Unfortunately, it's just from a rating standpoint. Also, this company is on a hold rating. Whether you're looking at analysts, whether you're looking at Wall Street analyst, even quant ratings, everything is on hold. They did miss the revenue by massive. I think it was what? Let me see.
Is that what the sell-off was over?
Yeah, $10 million. They missed the revenue. But I do think, considering the stock was $300 stock at the all-time peak back in 2021, it's it, the idea, the concept, the product, the service is real. It's it may take time. It may never hit $300 again. That's a different discussion. But from a long-term standpoint in the healthcare space, I do see the company eventually, as it builds out, right? Because getting access to your doctor, through telehealth has been remarkable. Now the service has gone down, I will tell you that. Like back during the COVID time, you could go to the teledoc or any telehealth option, and you will see the doctors will give you a range. You can have a doctor around this time, like a 30-minute window. Nowadays it has gone bad. It has become so worse that they will say, oh, we'll text you when the doctor is available. Sometimes it could take 2, 3, 4 hours, especially, let's say, in the evening time you want to get a doctor. Anyway, so not going away, not digressing from the topic, but I think long term I do see the potential. I don't know if the stock has it to go back to $300 or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is a short trade here, honestly. I mean, you've got the gap, but that was off a bad report. And it's retested, try to get above, like Sean highlighted there, 1550. If it rejects here, it looks like it's probably going to try to go a little lower. I mean, it's pretty tight to get right there. It's only $1 lower, right, to get back to the recent lows here. So if that breaks, then yep, that's going to be kind of scary for TDOC. But I don't disagree with you, Kay. It feels like the services, there's a demand for these services. So whether it's Teladoc or something else, like the stock price needs to figure itself out. All right. Was there anything else we want to capture? Yeah, GOEV is out there listening. Hey, GOEV, I had a big weekend. If you guys didn't catch him, he was on stage just spitting fire. It was great to see. And yeah, over 2,000 tuning in today. Love to see you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And yeah, pushing 2,500, I think. So it's been a great week. I think, let's see, do we have any more tickers here, you guys?
We have your favorite Mara.
Oh, an SMTC, I see. I think I missed that earlier. Okay.
Palantir by a couple of people as well.
The GOEV. I don't think we covered that.
Thanks for keeping me honest, you guys.
Yeah, let's go quick on these ones so we can wrap things up, make sure we cover all tickers.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so Marathon Digital. I've got lots of notes here. As Kay mentioned, it's a favorite. And we've got the anchored VWAP here. Nice bounce off of it again. I don't like the huge, wick on top here and closing actually right at the 2350 support. It would be nice if it could have closed above or even not had, quite as much of a give back Friday, but pretty much everything gave back. Below this 20-day moving average also, I don't know that it's really, like Sean, when you see this kind of action, do you really use the SMA too much as an indicator? It's not really respecting it, right?
No, I mean, moving average for me is more of a trend-based indicator. It's kind of,
there you go.
Add two positions, that kind of thing.
So we do have a ton of volume here, right in this range that we're at, right? 2350 to 2671, the levels I've got noted. So if we can get back up in there, it might range a bit for us here, okay?
That's what I care about. Keep ranging, barcoding.
Yeah, barcode it and sell some covered calls and cash secured puts and collect premium.
Yeah, keep rolling those contracts,
Yeah, what an incredible run. I left this here, 133% in 5 weeks. That's the kind of moves you can get here. So if it does start to move sideways, it has a large premium on these options because of these big moves. So you can collect, 3-4% every couple of weeks. It's pretty crazy. We've done that in 2023. We might start doing it again in 24 if the opportunity presents. But with Bitcoin powering higher, I feel like these miners have to catch up eventually.
And that's the most surprising part. With Bitcoin, still making all-time highs, Mara has not been able to keep up. But for listeners who don't sell often the cash secured puts, a 3% gain on a weekly is a massive gain. It's because for larger stocks you would see a 0.5% gain on a weekly, options premium of 0.6, 0.7. Those are great, but a 3-4% is amazing. It's like if you analyze that, it's amazing, the returns. You won't get it analyzed, but people tend to use that terminology a lot.
Yeah, so I think we got some potential for more upside with Mara. I like using this anchored VWAP to hold, which is right around $21. But really, if 20 can hold up, I'll be happy here for more upside. Sean, anything you'd add to Marathon Digital?
No, nothing from me. No.
Good stuff.
Covered
All right, what should I go to next, you guys?
We can go Canoe. It's GOEV. It's also
Oh, Canoe.
yeah.
Okay.
I think they got unless I'm mistaken, they got a deal with USPS. Let me confirm that.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's definitely in a steady decline here, and not really found its bottom. This is kind of similar to what I was talking to before, where if you wanted to go long, this is kind of a hero's call, a little early to be doing that. But yeah, you could potentially short it on a retest of the 20-day moving average because it's kind of respected that, as well as maybe the 50, if you wanted to get a little bit more of a, I guess, cushion. But given that this is such a low dollar stock, the options are probably tough to short, and I would be more waiting for higher lows and higher highs to establish before going long here.
And just so you guys know, they are doing a reverse split 1 to 23, 1 for 23.
Oh, interesting.
Effective March 8th. So it's already done actually.
They did a reverse split and then it just sold off. Is that what?
So it seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they say that which will become effective on March 8th. So yeah, because this was not a $2 stock. This was like few cents.
I would bet then it's not reflected in the chart yet. Yeah,
Okay.
It'll probably reflect on Monday.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're doing it so they don't get delisted, right? And it's at $2 a share right now. They got to get back above the minimum. So
all right. So next up is CLSK. Not sure what that is.
yeah,
Clean Spark.
Yeah, you familiar with this, Sean?
I've certainly been mentioned quite a few times. Yeah, the massive run up recently, as you can see on the chart now.
This kind of looks like SMCI or something. Like that's a huge run from the start of the year. It got down as low as in 650 range, and yeah, comfortably sitting at $20 basically. More than 3x in just a couple months. That is
1 year is 750% gain 1 year.
So take a look at earnings, right? Big gap up on earnings. And then that's after another big move off of earnings. That's 2 reports in a row, maybe even 3.
Is it Bitcoin mining, this one?
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure it is Bitcoin mining.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So a quick look at the chart.
Bitcoin miners. Yes, you're right.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to add this to my list. I have not actually kept a close eye on CleanSpark. So $15 needs to hold. It's retested, right? That's a nice retest, really clean, bounced off it. It's now trying to get back above 23. Yeah, that's where it's headed. It looks like it could kind of run into resistance here around $21, but and it's not real resistance here. I'm just saying it looks like it shuffled a bit, so it could do that again. But it looks like it's trying to make new highs and following Bitcoin powering higher in this great run it's been on.
Bitcoin goes higher, these go higher. Simple as that.
And RSI's got room to run.
But Mara isn't on the same track, right? Mara has not been following that trend.
Yeah, so let's do side by side, right? Like this is CLSK and then Mara, right? Just not quite as good looking, right? So
is that an opportunity?
Yeah, I think it might be. It's worth watching these two.
Interesting.
All right. I saw, what was it?
SMTC?
Yeah, Semtech. Ooh.
I've never heard of this one.
Me neither. You guys help me out with what this is exactly, but
Semtech.
Bit of a cup and handle, a long, awkward handle to hold on to, but a bit of a cup and handle.
I like it, yeah, very much so. If it comes down and retest that kind of line of where you are now, roughly with the cursor, probably about 23, is that roughly?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Come back down, retest that alongside. I don't know if I'd wait for it though, just to bring up the moving average, the 20 moving average, and obviously coinciding with the volume profile as well. That's then 3 points of confluence. At the moment, you only have 1. If it was to retrace down to 22.72 as you've drawn there.
Yeah.
But I like the level. I'm writing it down actually.
Yeah, they also produce semiconductor products, so it's in the same space, I guess.
Okay, interesting. So I like that we're looking at a name like this then. The reason being, semiconductors, if we do get continued run higher here, I feel like there's a bunch of names that haven't quite kept up that potentially could, as long as, basically be carried along, as long as they, don't have earnings that completely destroy them or what have you. And given that they gapped up on the last earnings report here, SMTC could be a potential candidate for, another semiconductor name that makes big moves. I mean, it's doubled since its lows in October. So,
A fun fact about that, for this company, they since January 2019 they have been reporting earnings, have not missed a single top line or bottom line.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Okay, SMTC. Again, another one from our fantastic audience that's dropping names, getting on our radar. All right, we've got.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I see a couple of familiar names. Intel from Josh.
Palantir, I think, is up there somewhere.
Palantir and Stars. Okay, let's get to them. I think I heard Palantir first, so let's do Palantir. I might trade Palantir. A couple notes, a couple of lines. Actually, I'll let you lead off here, Sean. What do you think here about this chart for Palantir?
So just kind of look at the one I've got. It's kind of very similar to yours, but you can see lots of resistance around that 25.42 level. Let's call it 25.50. Bit of a rejection on Friday, not the greatest candle. But I mean, it's actually an opportunity. If anything, it's almost a good candle.
Right.
Coming back down to 25.50. The only thing, I mean, like the last chart, the only thing is lack of confluence. You've got a little bit of volume profile, but not a huge amount. I mean, adding to a long position here, I still wouldn't think about it. I'd still wait for the moving averages. It's a trend up at the end of the day. If you wait for that moving average to come up, then that's where I'd be adding or even starting a position. So I'm staying away from this one on a trading point of view.
Yeah, I agree with Sean on this one. It's very similar to like SOFI. Like when it runs up, you just waited for it to pull back, and that's when you get back in. Same thing with that.
Very nice. So I see that, we had this nice run here. I have the advantage of being able to draw on these charts. And, we had the rejection and then a retest. And then on this next rejection, we held that higher low and then broke through. To me, the next move is retest that 25.50 level, call it, and then try to make it a higher high. That's the pattern, right? And if it can hold this level again at 25.50-ish, I would say that's worth going long, but it's high risk, high reward at this point because of how extended it is. So I would have a very tight stop. Like if I bought it right at 25.50 off the bounce, my stop's not going to be much more than a quarter lower than that, right? 25 or something, because this could knife down 100%. With the quickness, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Palantir's been fantastic, though. Been a great trade this year. Okay, what was next?
Intel, INTC.
INTC. This is for you, Kay. What do we got on Intel?
I've actually not been focused on Intel, but let's see. So what's going on here? I mean, I think they're still barcoding. I mean, if you want to do wheel strategy, it's ideal. And honestly, I think a lot of folks were hoping that Intel can also gap up because of the AI, but apparently Intel has not been able to keep up. I'll have to go back. You know what we can do is we can cover Intel next week. I'll cover Intel. I'll do a little bit more research on Intel to cover what's going on.
All right, I will definitely do that. Sean, what do you have any quick thoughts on Intel while we've got it up here?
Yeah, I think it's trying to find support. We've got succession. I can't say that word. We've got higher highs kind of coming in. There's a few words I can't say, and that's one of them. There you go. But we've got a few higher highs that are kind of trying their best. The big candle on Friday is not great. Big red candle.
I mean, that's true for all. It's true for all of the semiconductor stocks on Friday.
Yeah, true. But yeah, trying to find support around these levels. We've got the average volume weighted price there, along with the volume profile on the right. So, I mean, yeah, I've stayed away from this one. For me personally.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a gap fill gonna, try and attempt here. And if we do, we'll be hitting the trend line. And after you gap fill, you tend to reverse, right? So whether it's, coming from the top down or the bottom up top here, either way, you'll tend to reverse after filling the gap. So yeah, Intel looks a little bit interesting. Kay, it would be great if we could look at it next week and see what.
Yeah, I'll definitely cover next week, and we'll come up with some trade ideas for Intel.
All right, one more.
One more. So let's see. One more.
We have a lot of requests. Keep them coming in. Obviously, we won't probably get to all of them this week, but if you come back next week, we'll definitely get to them.
So I guess SMCI. I guess this is the one that I saw. I mean, I know they're Apple, Starbucks, and everything, but let's cover SMCI.
All right, I can do a couple of these really fast. I see Starbucks, I see ONON, and I see JMIA as well. Okay.
Do you want to start Starbucks? Because I was trading Starbucks. I can quickly give my
Starbucks first.
Okay, perfect. So Starbucks is actually kind of recovering, but we still see a downward trend on Starbucks. I think we covered that 2 weeks ago. There was also a request for Starbucks. It's you see the volume shelf over there. I think that around 92, 93 is where majority of the volume shelf is. So since it's not been able to keep up, we are now, if it drops below 90, the next one will be like around 87, 86 is where the volume shelf builds up.
Yeah.
So this is a critical point as well for Starbucks. If it can keep above the 92, I think we have a potential uptrend. But seems like it's making lower highs if you draw a trend line. In the past couple, yeah, exactly. So
anything to add here, Shaun?
This is actually one I brought up about 3 weeks ago, and I completely forgot I did until you brought it up just now.
You are the one who said it's going downwards. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those where I've said it, but I haven't actually traded it. we've all been there before. You come up with suggestions, but you don't actually follow through because you completely forget about the trade. But yeah, it's nice to know it's happening. That's a really good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta say, you guys, if Shaun is not bullish on something, pay attention. Because Shaun is always bullish.
Except Neo, yeah. I mean, cheers, Kay. Yeah, I'll see you next week.
All right, guys, real quick, JMIA. I want to look at this one because I've been trading it myself. We've had some long upper wicks. Look at this. So this earnings report highlighted that they did a lot in 2023 to really kind of right the ship and cut a lot of dead weight and get things operating on the right path. Now, JMIA is e-commerce in Africa, a lot of competition, a lot of unknowns still, but I mean, just an incredible run since that earnings report, right? Like up from basically $3.40 to a double here at $7. These huge upper wicks here, it looks a little bit extended. I could see us coming back, and Shaun, what you've been talking about is getting near those moving averages. So yeah, it's tough to get in right here, but I think that we might see more upside for JMIA here in the near future, but some in the longer term future, but some consolidation first.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this one is immediate future, definitely downside, just because you said the topping candles there.
Right.
We're losing volume. It's decreasing a little bit. Also quite high in the RSI. So there's a few confluential points there on the short side. I've written it down for potential short trade. Sorry, Nate. But
no, good stuff. It's all right. I'm not in it. I was in it. I was trading in
it.
Yeah. And then ONON. This is going to be our last one, you guys. But hey, appreciate all the requests coming in. Keep dropping them. Send us DMs if you'd like, and we'd be happy to address them. Again, you can find us on, at InvestK. You can find K. You can find me at Trader Nate here. And Shaun, you are at Shaun_Clark. Do I have it right?
Yeah. That's Shaun Clark _. Yeah.
Shaun Clark _ Almost had it.
Not Shaun right. Trades.
And be sure to, drop us any questions you have, and we'll try to get at these charts every week as much as we can. ONON is an interesting one. This is shoes. You guys familiar with ONON? On holding?
Yep.
All right. So ONON, it broke out of this nice barcode session here and has moved higher. Now it's retesting the 20-day, which is also kind of near prior resistance. I don't know, kind of like the setup to go long here. Thoughts?
No, I see the same what you're seeing here, honestly.
I really like it. Yeah. It's looking like it's going to make another little move higher, like you say. If you could break out that volume profile where it is now, then there's not much in the way to previous highs.
Yeah, so see this? It filled the gap from back here. Then it reversed back. Now it's finding support, and I expect it to try to move higher. So nice setup here for ticker ONON. All
so
right.
many trade ideas.
So many.
It's a
write them all
great
down?
week. I've
You
got
get them all?
about 15, I think, here.
That's fantastic. That's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see. Lots
Exactly.
of trade ideas. So appreciate all of you tuning in again, dropping all these Uncle Sam great questions, and Sebastian as well, VBank, all of you guys out there. Make sure you're following us so you can catch all of our trade ideas throughout the week. Make sure you follow Wolf Financial if you're not already. Appreciate Wolf for his support. See, we almost hit the 3,000 mark. So that'll be our goal next week. See if we can get 3,000 tune in. And we'll keep this rolling every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great week trading. And my thoughts to close out this week are, don't be overwhelmed by all the trading ideas. And be a little bit cautious. Quad witching, a lot of volatility, CPI and PPI numbers coming out. There's going to be a lot of action this week. So don't size up and go crazy. What do you think, Sean?
Exactly that. I'm not going to kind of say it again, but yeah, just trade wisely. You've got a lot of trade ideas, if your own kind of way of taking them down, that kind of thing. But just kind of select them wisely and play around the markets. Yeah, and subscribe.
I think you guys covered it, so I don't have to say anything else. For me personally, I'll be waiting and watching. We'll see how CPI plays out, and then if there's anything that pops up, we'll take a trade. Otherwise, it's okay to take a break here and there.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, I wish you the best of luck this week. I'll be in touch, of course. We'll be trading and posting all of our thoughts. But best of luck to everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. And the Trading Triangle will be back in a week.
Awesome. See you next week, guys.